All right, 340. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. It's digital host A.J. Wuest going through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. Wherever you're watching Before the Four this afternoon, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream, as always, thank you so much for watching and spending just a bit of your Tuesday afternoon here. Now, let's jump into some news this afternoon, shall we? First, just minutes ago, we learned that Alabama Senator Tuberville will officially run for governor in 2026. Now, Senator Tuberville is nearing the end of his first term on Capitol Hill, and until a few months ago seemed poised to seek another 6 years. But then chatter came that he could run for governor. The senator appears to be a heavy favorite in the governor's race at this point. As it became more apparent that Tuberville would run, other potential candidates announced they would not, such as Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, who announced he'd not run in the governor's race last week. We'll have more on this breaking development coming up in our evening newscast. But now, let's take a look at the radar as the chance of storms are moving into the Tennessee Valley over the next few days. It's already been one of the wettest Mays on record for our area, and we are expecting more rain as we dive further into the week. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis has everything you can expect. Brad?
Scattered showers moving out for the time being, but a few more could move in as we get later into the day. Still watching the potential for more heavy rain there in Jackson County. We've had flash flood warnings out there so far today. But overall, the radar showing a break, but the sun's coming back out west in the shoals. And that's going to provide a little more instability for the next wave that comes in. For those trying to get the mow in, right now is a pretty good time. You're just going to have to time it between the showers. Tomorrow actually looks pretty good. Thursday, Friday morning looks kind of like a washout, but Saturday, the rest of the weekend looks good. Over the next 12 hours, another round of thunderstorms possible in here for the early evening hours. It should be out by about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. Here's a quick look at that hour by hour. Here's we turn to 6 o'clock. Additional showers, a few thunderstorms still possible. Any of these could be strong, just given the fact we've got so much water in the air. And even through early tomorrow morning, still a few rumbles of thunder in far northeast Jackson County. And by tomorrow afternoon, we start to clear out a little bit. A pretty nice day overall with just some isolated showers and storms remaining a possibility. Rain chances do remain high, though, until we get to Friday afternoon. That's when they really start to drop off. And as we get into the weekend, looking a lot more like it should this time of year. Here's that 10-day forecast. 80s across the board. Friday a little cooler, more of a north wind, and down to 58 Saturday morning. But beyond that, June looking very much like it should for June.
Well, that is certainly great news. We just got to make it through this week, it sounds like. But you all watching right now, you know the drill. Weather Extra tonight at 9:30. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis. He'll be back here in the CTV area, and he'll be giving you all the latest he's seeing on the radar, especially with this more rain and potential storms moving into our area. So make sure to stay tuned for Weather Extra, without a doubt. But now, moving out to the Paint Rock community in Jackson County with a story in case you missed it. As rain continues to fall, EMA leaders are concerned because of the threat of a nearby river flooding. 48 Savannah Sapp with those details.
Jackson County EMA Director Josh Whitcomb and his team are gearing up for a second week of closely monitoring conditions as more rounds of thunderstorms roll in. Whitcomb spent a majority of today surveying areas of High Top and Stevenson after a brief storm Sunday afternoon. Paint Rock River on the other side of the county has been a concern for many due to it being susceptible to flooding. However, Whitcomb tells me the river levels are in a safe stage and road conditions will be his main concern. He tells me because of the back-to-back heavy rain the area has received, the ground will be soft enough to bring more trees down, which could block roadways and cause power outages. He tells me he's hoping for a break in severe weather soon.
This is why we emphasize, having everybody sign up for Code Red so you get those notifications and have a weather radio because it happens and it happens fast. We are definitely hoping that this will ease up at some point and we can try to enjoy some of the summertime weather.
And Whitcomb added that the damage surveyed in the Stevenson area was likely due to heavy winds, and his team will be updating the public regularly on conditions on their social media. Reporting in Stevenson, Savannah Sapp, 48 News, on your side.
Well, now in Athens, where it has been 6 months since the tornado moved through the area, damaging several businesses along Main Street. 48's Nick Ballinger yesterday went to Athens to follow up with how those businesses are doing 6 months later.
Brand new shelves, books, and even a new building shows how CEI Bookstore in Athens is turning the page after a tornado devastated the business 5 months ago.
It was as close to a total loss of contents as you could get.
The Christian Bookstore's director, Lance Taylor, remembers getting a text the night of December 28th that a tornado ripped off the roof from his business.
It was surreal. You know, we obviously worked day in and day out in that building.
When that tornado barreled through and took the entire roof off of the building behind me, it affected much more than just the business inside those four walls.
We sell our merchandise nationwide, worldwide. When this happened December 28th, I mean, we still had web orders coming in without inventory, you know, to be able to fulfill those orders.
Taylor's attention quickly had to turn from the chained up doors to a door chime, ringing with new opportunities.
Right away, we started talking to folks about building opportunities. You know, we're going to have to move somewhere, even if this gets renovated, roof put back on, or whatever. That's going to take time.
The bookstore now has a new home thanks to the community here in Athens. The outreach is something Terry Richardson, the director of Main Street Athens, has seen firsthand.
I was getting emails and calls and texts from people saying, what can I do to help?
Main Street Athens announced CEI Bookstore will receive a $10,000 grant funded by community donations to help the bookstore start a new chapter.
It's just an honor and just really thankful. And it'll make so much difference. Honestly, what it made me think is I hope that some other places are getting a significant amount too.
His hopes are realized as more than $10,000 is being awarded to other Athens businesses lining the square. Reporting in Athens, Nick Ballinger, 48 News, on your side.
And staying in Limestone County, today Sheriff Joshua McLaughlin announced his candidacy for re-election. In his announcement release, McLaughlin's campaign reflected on his past term, showing his focus on, quote, improving departmental transparency, modernizing operations, and building strong partnerships with local residents, community leaders, and law enforcement agencies, end quote. McLaughlin has been the Limestone County Sheriff since 2001, when Governor Kay Ivey appointed him to the position. In 2022, McLaughlin beat out 5 other candidates for the position. Now, at this time, he is running unopposed. But now, coming up after the break, we'll go through some Memorial Day events held yesterday across the Tennessee Valley, the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts, and of course, we got to get to Facebook fun. It's all ahead. I'll be right back in 1 minute. All right, my time is up. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the 4. Now in Colbert County, where many in the community gathered yesterday for Memorial Day. The day brings veterans of all ages together to reflect on the past while also keeping an eye on the future. While it's important to remember the past, 48's Aria Pons yesterday also spoke with local veterans who say they also like to look to the future to help those still here. Aria Pons reports.
God bless America. Veterans and community members of all ages gathered in Colbert County to commemorate and remember those who gave their lives to protect the country.
We don't want to forget them.
Every year, a Memorial Day ceremony is held to remind people of the true meaning of the somber holiday so that those lost will always be remembered. It's a reason to honor the past, and while they do that, American Legion Post 31 Commander Doug Hargett says they also like to look to the future to help those that are still here.
You know, we served our country in the best that we knew how. We come back, some of them are broken and injured from the wars, and we're wanting to continue doing something for our veterans and doing something for our community.
Hargett says that starts with reinstating a Veterans Affairs office in Colbert County after more than 17 years. He said it's been too long since one has been close by, giving veterans in Colbert County the hard task of orchestrating travel to Tennessee, Russellville, or Lauderdale County to see a veteran service officer.
It's just having access to your records and somebody that cares to service.
And Hargett says they have to get an optometry service and audiology service integrated into the Shoals VA clinic. Otherwise, veterans have to travel all the way to Huntsville and Birmingham when Hargett says they have the space here for it.
The new clinic is probably 3 times as big as the old one, but we need to staff it.
Hargett says they'll be meeting with state officials very soon to discuss the needs for veterans here in Colbert County. Reporting in Tuscumbia, Aria Pons, 48 on your side.
And speaking of Memorial Day, yesterday the annual Cotton Row Run took place in downtown Huntsville. 48 sports anchor Cam Durr went to the annual run and spoke with participants. Let's take a look.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Cam Durr here at the finish line of the annual Cotton Row Run, where for 45 years it has been held on Memorial Day, a day of remembrance for those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Runners that have participated in today's races shared with me that this is only a small token of what they can do to ensure that those men and women are never to be forgotten.
And that I love, stand behind her.
The sacrifice that all these people did before me. So for me, this is a small sacrifice that I do for them. So I make sure that everybody remembers always their memory.
From the mountains to the prairies to the
I serve with a number of people over in Afghanistan who they all didn't make it back, but this just it makes it more special to be able to be here today and honor them, especially the Gold Star families down at the end and what they've sacrificed as well.
Seems like it was an awesome run. And also, staying in sports, we just learned this afternoon that the Trash Pandas game scheduled for tonight against the Biloxi Shuckers will be rescheduled for this Thursday due to a delay. This will be as part of a doubleheader on Thursday featuring 2 7-inning games. The first game will be scheduled for 4:05, and then the second game will start around 45 minutes after the first game ends. But an update there, if you have Trash Pandas tickets tonight, that game has now been scheduled for Thursday. But now let's turn over to the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts. The cleanup efforts still ongoing in the Killingsworth Cove community. 48's Faith Delp will be following up on that situation. Details on tonight's Decatur City Council meeting. Following several developments in that community, 48's Callie Neese will have all the latest from City Council coming up. And finally, new details regarding a double murder suspect in Colbert County. 48's Aria Pons will have more on that, and these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. Now, Facebook fun, our 48 Facebook question of the day. What's a movie that never gets old? And let me tell you, I have a lot of movies that I find myself rewatching over and over again. Currently, I am on a Star Wars kick. I watched the prequels, episode 1 through 3 recently, and then last night I watched Rogue One, and now I am going to continue on with episode 4, 5, and 6. But the Star Wars series for me never gets old, but what I want to know is what you all have to say. And let's see some of what you had to say. Let's see, Becky said Jaws. Now that is a classic. Jaws can never get old, 100%. The Harry Potters. Me and you both, Aubrey. I can rewatch the Harry Potters. My favorite is The Goblet of Fire. The 4th movie is a great one. Forrest Gump, Megan and Chad Minor. Now, there is so many iconic quotes in Forrest Gump. An absolute classic. Love it. And speaking of classics, we got another classic, The Karate Kid. Tommy, wax on, wax off, 100%. And we have another one. This is a popular film as well, The Notebook from Sherry Green. I'll admit I have not seen The Notebook, but maybe I need to watch it. We have a couple others of noteworthy. You all had some super awesome comments. Here's one right here, Silence of the Lambs. It flashed for a second, but then it left. Very upsetting there. I wanted to talk about it a bit more. Christina said The Shawshank Redemption. Absolutely another classic. We have The Godfather in the comments. This is from Afton Travins. Let me actually pull this out, and I'm just going to call out the names. But we have The Goonies, another classic, a great 80s film that is. The Goonies, Never Say Die, 100%. We have the film Sweet Home Alabama, that of course is the Reese Witherspoon, Sweet Home Alabama from Jeanette. Thank you so much for commenting. We have Step Brothers, that is from Taylor Franks. So many great movies here. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Cindy Mito commented that one. And then an absolute classic right here, I'm going to send it. Gone with the Wind from Rhonda Leathers. Thank you all for commenting on today's 48 Facebook question of the day. So many awesome films that you all had. 100%. I wish I could keep going through them all, but unfortunately it looks like that's about all the time I have for today's Before the Four. But thank you all for watching and spending just a bit of your Tuesday afternoon here. I hope you all have a great night. Enjoy tonight's evening newscast, and as always, thank you so much for watching. You all have a great night.